Good evening, and welcome to a new edition of Urban Sentinel Live. I'm Reggie Kearney, Urban Sentinel magazine publisher, and I want to welcome you to our Tuesday night get-together. We got a great show in store for you all, the listening audience and viewers tonight. Before we get started, I want to make sure and do this PSA. People. Vote. This is one of them elections that you need to go out and vote and be a part of. I'm not going to sit here and tell you who you vote for, but we don't need no crazy man in the White House, okay? But I need for you to go out and vote. I need for you to tell your friends and relatives and everyone you know, lottie-dottie and all of them, to go out and vote, get registered. Some states, check your state. Some states you can go until October the 15th is the last day. Now, early voting has started in some areas of the country, but please get out and vote. This is very important. I need for you guys to vote. So we got a great show for you tonight. My co-host tonight is going to be operating this show tonight, Miss Keisha Spirit. And I know I got a name messed up, last name. I don't ever get people's names messed correct at times, so she'll have to forgive me. But she's going to bring you this gentleman tonight who's, hey, he's got it going on. He's the man. So I'm going to let her come on and introduce to you the guest for the night. Right, Miss Keisha? How you doing tonight?
Yes, good night. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good. So I want you to bring the guest on, and I want you to do your thing. And hey, it's all in your hands now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Keisha Reefer Esprit of the Urban Sentinel Live TV show. To be featured is one of the world's musical geniuses, the pioneer and master chef of bouillon music, the legendary Derek Ra Peters. He is a trailblazer and a native of the Commonwealth of Dominica, who has contributed astronomically to the world and his country's culture. His musical contributory impact is evident and victoriously heard in the tunes on the world stage at the annual World Creole Music Festival, Dominica's Carnival, the Caribbean Music Awards, and many other events. The veteran is a world tour performer with classic hits such as Noum La, Culture Shock, Balance Batty, and Bandwagon. Derek Ra Peters has helped put his country on the map. Okay. The music icon is one of the originators of the several famous music bands, a very skilled and diverse musician with the expertise to create, perform, and compose music. This visionary's impeccable articulation pertaining to the history and science of bouillon and other genres of music assures us that this profession is in good hands with one of our esteemed sons of the soil. I count it a privilege to interview one of the world's most gifted musicians who is resolute of service to his country, the Commonwealth of Dominica. Derek Ra Peters, how are you doing this evening?
All right. Good evening to all the listeners. Whether it be good evening, good morning, whatever. I know we have a different timeline in different parts of the world. Just want to say thanks so very much for having me on your show tonight. Of course, we want to start by giving President thanks to the Most High for having us here to discuss and to share some information and let people know exactly what's going on, with the music and culture as well.
Okay. Well, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm really elated. I feel so great to finally have you here. You're a special person. You're exceptional. You've done great things. Very gifted gentleman. So I'm going to get started with your first question. Give us a brief synopsis about yourself as a musician and what inspired you to take this path.
Well, music has been very special to me, especially when it comes to like drums and percussions and vocals to some extent. Started off like from small, from 2 years old, been playing, and of course my first appearance on stage was when I was about like 7 years old. Opening up for a band called the Gaylord's Power Union in the Arak Cinema. It was called at the time. Right now, it's called the Arak House of Culture.
Okay.
And of course, played with Harambe. I then work with other groups like the People's Action Theatre, led by Orwin Bully, which passed about a year ago or so, 2 years, going on about 2 years ago. And after that, did some music in the Kalas era, which is one of the first genre in Dominica. The bands played, with the great Exile One and all the greats. Then after that moved on, played with a group called Earth and recorded about 1979 in Guadeloupe, where most of the Calas guys used to record. So it started kind of very early, and after that, we moved on, played with a couple bands and did some reggae. Played a lot of reggae, and then after we moved into developing another band called WCK, and days where it exploded with the Booyah creation. But the idea and the inspiration was with me from day one, to develop such a genre.
Okay, thank you. Okay, firstly, explain to listeners what is the definition of bouillon and its derivative. Where did it derive from?
Oh, bouillon. Bouillon really, it's a Creole word for potpourri. It's a food, and we created the name. We kind of associated with the music. So that's where it came from. But the ingredients now, as we call it, with the food is like a one pot whole oil, what they call a potpourri, and of course the ingredients in it, which is local. So some people may call it a soup, some people may call it a broth. But now we connote that with the same thing with the music, because where you have the food, the bouillon, you have the music, which is a food for the mind and for the soul and for the spirit. So we call it bouillon. And really what we do with the music is we put in all our local rhythms, which is from Dominica. For instance, we use the conch shell, and we use a beat called the lapo cabuit, which is lapo means the skin, cabuit means goat. So it's a goat skin drum, which mainly used for carnival time, and for different festival times. And of course we use the jingping, which is a kind of a quadrille for, of course, people in Guadeloupe, Martinique will know about it. I think somewhere in Jamaica, I think they do something almost like that. And of course we had the bele, which is where you do the drums and you have what you call lead vocals and the background, so they shot well. Um, so they chant certain, chant certain words and stuff like that. So basically, that's what it is. Apart from that, now using the local rhythms, which is the Bele, Lapo Cabuet, and the Jingping. The Jingping basically is a rhythm, um, all African instruments. So we have what they call the guage, is something like a maracas. You have this thing called the boom boom, where you get in a kind of a bass song. It's a kind of a hollow pambo. You
Okay.
get that song. You have a tambal, which is a large tambourine. I think some in the Middle East they use something like that. And of course, the only instrument that's not really like really of African origin is the accordion. So we have the accordion, that's with the Jinping music. Apart from that, those rhythms, we include things like other beats of the Caribbean, and of course, further afield, we're talking about like, for instance, like Karas, Zouk,
Mhm.
uh, um, of course, we have compa and reggae, dancehall, calypso, soca, um, hip hop, you know, um, dancehall, Latin American like salsa, merengue. So all these beats now we combine them even more so now, and of course the Motown song, hip hop, all is there is part of it. So it's a matter of what we call booyerize, bringing all those rhythms together to get that authentic kind of a song, original kind of a song.
Yes, thank you. I was going to request that you go a little deeper into the musicology, but you have done a lot. You've explained it. I think a lot. You've done a lot of explanation here. How about the elements? Is there something else you may want to state about that? The unique style. Of course, you mentioned a combination of different things, but I've noticed that the bouillon music, I love it. It's very different. It's speed. It's quite fast. So could you explain that to us?
Well, the booyah music is not totally fast. There's other moods, which is like we have what some we call in the soca, I don't may call it the groovy, but we call it the warm up.
Okay.
We have the warm up rhythm. That's number one. When we just start like the gigs, we have the warm up rhythm. Then we have the groovy kind of for if you, for instance, if you know songs like Our Night,
Yes.
tonight is the night, I wanna hold you tight, baby, come close to me. We have that thing. Then we go into the faster groove.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then after we go into the chants, the faster
Okay.
grooves like balance batty and stuff like that. Then we go into the chants. So it have like four areas. So it's not really just like fast. It have the different moods. It have four different moods. So this way we act with the different vibe in the music. Of course, um, there's different elements that we put in it. For instance, the language,
Mm-hmm.
things that we say. For instance, in Creole, we may mix in Creole. We may mix the lyrical content where we'll have some in English, we'll have some in Creole, or sometimes we do all in Creole, which is the French patois, what they call. And sometimes we do like straight English, which is our colloquial way of speaking. Sometimes we do it in like plain English, that way.
Yes.
So we have the language also, you know. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Your musical influence and contributions have positively changed the culture of the Commonwealth of Dominica through your God given talents, the rhythm, and the beats. I have heard you state that the glory belongs to the Most High and that you did not create but were inspired by ancestors. You said it was like a conduit, the culture and vibes. Can you give us more insight about this?
Yeah, well, because they say nothing is new under the sun. Everything is there before and time be gone. And the rhythm, beats and percussions. Which Booyah music is very percussive. There's a lot of percussion. Even the instruments, like for instance, like the keyboards or the guitar,
Yes.
it plays the chords, but it played very percussive. You know.
Yes.
The thing is now this music came from all the way from Africa following us. So
Mhm.
there was always that rhythm there. For instance, the Lapo Kabwe, there was always there. So the
Yes.
Bele is all African. Um, the Jinping, is the only thing is that we get the European instrument, which is the accordion. But all those rhythms, follow us all the way from Africa. So
Mhm.
it's a matter of like fusing it together. We use fuse then, but we call it bouillarize. We bouillarize it, we put them together. So I don't think I would take credit to saying like I create, because there's only one creator, that's the Most High. But what I'll say is that I was inspired by the Most High, and for sure the ancestors, because I had the opportunity of raised up in the town, which is Roseau, capital city, and
Mhm.
of course raised up in Goodwill as well, which is what you call the upper class, and of course being able to go to the country where my mother was born from, the slave plantation, which is Rosalie.
Okay.
So when I was small, I went to the country very, very often, because my mother introduced us to there, because my grandmother was still living up in the countryside. So there I had uncles, aunts, cousins, grand uncles, so I'd go up there. By that time, there was no lights, no electric lights, just like what we use, what we call it, the buzai. It's
Okay.
a light made out of with kerosene in the bottom, and you have a
Okay.
wick in there, so you like that, and so anytime like it, the light is going down a little dim, you dip it in the kerosene again, tip it over in a bottle, dip it over, then it lights back up. So there we would go, when I would go to the country there, then we do a thing called l'histoire, which is the talking about the history, and of course the stories about Loa, which was the king, and who was on the slave plantation and stuff like that. And we had the team, talking about different things like riddles, like I say, well, team bashes, glossy span, coco. So that means I speak in Creole now. So you see, it's like um team, like glossy span is water hanging, right? So
Mhm.
you see, sakisa, what is that? Coconut, so because remember a coconut hanging, right? So it has water in it. So it's a glossy span, so that's like a riddle. I'll say, okay, team, what's it? Ludo boot. It's a Ludo boot. That means like team, all right, water that stands up straight. What it
Mhm.
is? And you'd say, well, can. That means it's cane, because the cane has the juice, right? But it stands up straight. So it have ghosty span, which is the coconut, and Rudu wood, which is the cane. So it's all those things that I learned. That's why I was able to, put these vibes into the music that I create. So it's not just limited to the music, but the lyrical content and the whole lifestyle. Because Boyan music is not just to me, it's not just fashion, it's not just as food, it's not just spiritual or religious kind of a vibes. It's just like a total way of life, even the way we walk, even the way we talk, so all that this encompass the whole vibe. So it's a total way of living.
Yes. Thank you so much. I must compliment you on speaking some people call it Creole or Patois. I love to hear it. I honestly can't speak much of it. I have a lot of family who speak it because the Dominican side of my dad spoke it, but being from that background, Barbados they only speak pure English. But
Right,
he
right.
he said he would speak a few words here and there, but I think it was difficult for him to be speaking in a country where there's no one else speaking it. It was just
Right, correct.
myself and my mother. But I love to hear the Creole, the patois.
Yeah, well, to
Okay.
keep the Creole sharp, then you always have to have somebody to converse, because if you don't have the person conversing, then little by little you'll start to lose, you'll start to lose the whole vibes, certain words, it won't come, because now you're speaking other language all the time, and you're not
Yes.
really, practicing. It's just like it's anything, you're athlete, you're footballer, you're cricketer, you're musician, you don't practice, little by little it will just erode, and could be eventually that you lose it, so that's why, the culture, you have to pass it on, pass it on to the next generation, even though they don't fully understand, but you talk to them, and to keep it alive.
Yes. But you're in that. You're in Dominica all the time. Y'all speaking it. But thank
Well,
you.
yes, but now in some places like before, when I was growing up, the house I was raised, we spoke, well, not me, because I had to, if they speak Creole to me, patois, I had to respond in English. So tell me, Ola Kali, I'll tell him I'm outside. So that, where are you going? Outside. VDAC, come here. I have to say, yes, ma'am. You check. But where I was, there was so many people in the yard, because back in the day, you still have, so much, not so much of a big house. You'd have a reasonable sized house, but you'd have a big yard, because the yard is where everybody would be, So the yard, as they have that program in on DBS also called in the Laku, that was the whole vibe of it. So there was lots of people coming in there, because we were raised up in River Street, for people that know Dominica, there were lots of people coming in, because we had a bakery there. So there was lots of different people coming in, and a lot of them were speaking patois. So they'll be speaking in patois, so you cannot join in conversation, because they're not really your age group, and it sounds kind of a rude for you to be just joining in. But you pick up a couple words, you pick up certain, certain vibes, certain songs they may sing even in Creole, you know. It's just like my mom, she would sing certain songs in Creole, we pick it up, So that's why it is. But for right now, based on how the Creole used to be like being spoken a lot, and that's why we really fear now of losing speaking Creole, because before there was, as you know, Dominica was ruled by the French, by the English, by the Spanish, and back and forth, So it had a time when the English came back now. They came back ruling Dominica under the French. They find some of the people that were speaking Creole as if they were backward, they were speaking Creole and they were backward, so people didn't really like that. It's like, they were frowned upon, speaking Creole. But right now, we are at a crossroads right now where we need to really preserve that, because places like Grenada and Trinidad and, well, Saint Lucia still speaks a lot of patois. And
Yeah.
of course, Guadeloupe, Martinique, of course,
Guadeloupe, Martin, French.
Haiti, of course.
We call them the French, English speaking Caribbean
Right.
islands.
Yes. Yes. But places like Grenada, they should be speaking patois. That's why a person like Sparrow could sing song like sa
Yes.
ye, me say tree when, so like pure Creole. But you learn
Yes.
it, But right now, there's not much people in Grenada speaking Creole.
Yes.
St. Lucia, they speak quite a bit of Creole there. But now with Dominica now, if we don't watch it, because most of the children now, I mean, we're exposed to all that internet and all that TV and so.
Yes.
So we kind of losing it bit by bit, bit by bit, because a lot of people used to be going to like the farms, their little garden, their like a backyard garden, they would go, up in the hills, their little plantations and stuff like that. But now, little by little, that seems to be eroding, and those are the things that we
To
really
keep
need
the
to
culture,
preserve.
keeping the
Yeah,
culture.
we need to preserve that, because I
Okay,
see
so
a place like, Grenada. I saw a guy a time ago. Look, when I hear him speaking Creole, I was kind of amazed, and he was a young guy. He wasn't really an older guy, so that means now somewhere, somehow in pockets, they still have it. In Trinidad, in Maraval, they speak a bit of Creole. They still want people speaking a bit of Creole out there. In Trinidad, because the
thank you.
whole carnival thing,
Yes.
it's people from Martinique that went to Trinidad. That's why they brought that whole thing about, before they wasn't calling it carnival, they was calling it masquerade.
Yes,
So it's a whole different thing. So now there's where, that's why they used to have the songs in Creole before in Trinidad. So now calypso and all that have a long history, because now it have a lot to do with the French Caribbean. Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for the education. So, Dominica, you all know you must preserve the culture and keep it going.
Most
I
definitely.
I can relate because I said I raised in a home with a Dominican, so I understand. And on my visits to Dominica, I noticed that my dad would speak the language naturally, and he would also play a lot of Creole news. He would listen to the news. But as I said,
Right.
this is the only country that never changed hands with the English. We're the only Caribbean country, so they don't know any other language except
Right.
Bajan dialect. So
Right.
thank
Correct.
you so much, Derek Ra Peters. I love to call you Ra, so I
Yeah,
just
that's all right. That's all right. That's good. Yeah.
okay. The next question I have for you: History Class 101, the groundbreaking years of 1989 and 1993. Educate us about the creation of the famous WCK band and your naming of the genre of music.
Well, the band started somewhere in 1987. Of
Okay.
course, there's some long history with the name and all that, but
Okay.
finally, with the WCK, we'll just call it a Windward Caribbean Culture, because when we come in, we kind of spin the name around. And we started the group sounding more or less like, because when we really started, um, before Smokey and myself came in, three other guys were playing together. That was like, of course, two started, which was Cornell and Keith. Then after Walkers came in, of course, I didn't really know Keith, but I knew Cornell because he's Cornell, is Irving's brother, Smokey, and I knew Walkers because Walkers myself had played already before. So, Smokey told me that we were going to make a group and we're going to start fresh, because we had played it already in different groups already. There's Smokey, Wackers, myself. We are playing reggae groups, different groups, Kadas groups and stuff like that. And he said, well, these guys are doing their little thing by themselves, but we want to make a band. So I said, well, fine. So that was about the end of 86 or something like that. By 89, 87, we had that first meeting, but by then, they had done a show, and when they go to do the show, they say they have a name. That's the three guys, and they say, okay, that's the name, Wackers, Cornell, and Keith. So that's part of that story there. But later on, when we finally made the group, I came up with a couple names. When we had the first meeting in 1987, summer of 1987. But I see they weren't too hot for the name, They were too, one of the names that I used was um, Last Revelation, some Final Revelation, something like that, And that name didn't been used until when we did a CD, which was the first one. But anyway, before that, no, we recorded the first album. When we recorded the first album, we call it Mopsy One Mosway. And here goes the name. So we say, whoa, by that time, the guitarist that we had before called Wackers, he wasn't in the band no more. We were using a different guitarist called Wayne McLawrence,
Okay.
and
Yes.
we recorded that album. But no, by then, bands like Burning Flames, Jam Band, which is more Leeward Island kind of a style bands. So 17 plus, that was the time of the drum machine coming into play. Because as you would tell now, in the early days, the percussions was okay, but no, sometimes it wouldn't be steady. The drums would be maybe going out of timing, and stuff like that, going fast, slow. So now the drum machine came in now like a percussive box, keeping the drummer steady. So that was used when Blending Flame started, from Antigua, and of course Jam Band, from St. Thomas, and 17, which was a mixed band from St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. Martin. But when the band started, it was sounding somewhere like that. But when we recorded the first album, we had a kind of that kind of a song. But I wasn't really too keen on that because I love originality. And I said, I want that. I want some kind of a different song, So when we did the first album, we did it in 1988.
Right, 1988 is what I.
88. Yeah, we did that album. That was the Mopsy One More Sweet. But 1989, we did not make do an album because we did the Mopsy One More Sweet album towards the end of 1988, which was going to be like reunion 88. So we kind of bring it in then. So then when 89 came, that was in November. When 89 came, the album had just come out, so it wasn't making sense to rush to do another album. So we waited it out, and so in the summer of 89, I had the idea of creating something a little different using our local rhythms. For then, that one now, I decided I was going to use the Jingping, which was the accordion, and some of the Jingping song. So I wrote that song in the studio, Culture Shock. Who was on with me was only Keith Goddard, because Smokey was in Trinidad.
Okay.
He's a custom officer, so he was doing some custom course, whatever, in Trinidad. Cornell wasn't there because he was in somewhere in Chicago doing some computer stuff for his parents' business, whatever. But no, Keith was with me, and I tell him that's what I want to do. I want to work on a different song. And I don't mind playing those guys' style, but now I figure we have so much different rhythms in Dominica that we can really blend and do something different. So, I like to experiment with that. So there's where I came up with the song, Culture Shock. This is a culture one in a million. There is no other one to compare. And I come and go, check out. I level out, because I figure, well, by then, dancehall kicking in and stuff like that. Give it a little, So there's where that way I create that first Boya song. By then, I didn't really give it the name as yet, but the concept started to build. After that, I think work on another song, which was Conch Shell. Holy man, they have the line stretch out to the sea, looking to hold some fish that so we pop. So that time we used the sample of the conch shell.
And I love that. You know what I mean? I love that instrument.
Yes,
it's unique. I love it for the bouillon.
Yes. So the conch shell. Yes. Yeah. So we dropped the conch shell in that, and I was like, yeah, whoa, that went clear.
Yes.
And so a couple of years after that, I was having a conversation that was with my daughter's mom, sister, which is my daughter's aunt. She lives in Guadeloupe. And when my daughter wasn't born yet, and she asked me, that's Lucy Robert, because it's Robert, but now in French they call it Robert, She asked me, but Derek, you show me Derek. You playing that kind of a music different, what's the name for it? I'd be like, whoa. You put me in thinking mood, By then I was thinking, I said, well, I should have a name that have a Creole kind of a flavor that, talking about some blending of different things, I brainstormed, I say, oh, why not bouillon? So I say, yeah. But I was having an interview with Raymond Lawrence, which is he was the chief cultural officer. He used to have a radio program on DBS, so he invited me on a Saturday when he used to call that program, I think, Cultural Connection. And I went to the interview, so he said, but the music sounds so good, what's the name for it? I
Yeah.
say, well, I think of it and I think we'll call it Bouillon. And right there and then, I give it the name Bouillon. That was somewhere about 93, somewhere about, yeah,
Yes.
that I had that interview and I give it that name. So there's where it was. And, since then, it just the music started to develop and the whole vibe until when it's moving from where it is a revolution, is an evolution, is innovation, is everything I can work within the formula. As I said before, you have different styles that can work with it. You have the chants, you have the singing styles, which could be hip hop, which could be reggae, which could be dancehall, all the different vocal style, so all that now incorporated it. Even the what we used to call before, we used to call it Afro rock, which is now called Afro beats.
Yes.
So bands like Osibisa, Olatunji, not the Olatunji from Trinidad, but Olatunji, um, of course, Fela Ransom Kunti, of course, Miriam Makeba, Yuma Sikela, all these different influences, came
Hmm.
into play, with the whole vibe. Because, when we was in Harambe, we were more or less doing kind of African stuff because it was in the 70s, early 70s. And, that was the time of the Black Power, Stokely Carmichael and Malcolm X and all those guys there,
Hmm.
talking about Marcus Garvey and all this kind of a thing, bringing the black consciousness, so
Yes.
we had a lot of that kind of a vibe, Of course, when the Black Power movement was right there, and of course, when the Rastafari movement came into play, also that had an impact, So all these they now combine, fuse, or one for a better word, booyah rise, We put all this together, so that's why you have that kind of a song. Of course, you have the Motown song, with people like Michael Jackson, Curtis Mayfield. Like, I can't remember if Curtis Mayfield was so much in part of Motown, but now all these there because the time of Superfly, of course, Shaft, so you have when people like Curtis Mayfield did the soundtrack for Superfly, and of course, um, what's his name? That bullet guy that did it for Isaac Hayes did that for Shaft, you know. And of course, you have guys like Marvin Gaye, and of course, you have people like Diana Ross and the Supremes, and of course the Jacksons, Smokey Robinson and all that, all those kind of vocal styles came into play, you know. Um, so that's why we combine all these here, because all these they know we're talking about they have that African influence. So it brings us right back to the motherland, the cradle of civilization, Africa. You
Okay.
understand? So days where the whole vibe, you know, kind of unravels. So that's why I would never claim being like the creator. The creator is the most high, but
Yes.
again, we cannot forget the ancestors, those that carry the rhythm, those that had the cry and the chants and the drums and passing the message across with the conch shell and all that, So all that, had a major play. We cannot forget the Maroons, people like Jack Obala and everybody, from the different islands would have some maroon hero which they know and they speak about, whether it be Guadeloupe, whether it be Jamaica, whether it be St. Lucia, Guadeloupe, Martinique, whether it be Dominica, Barbados, wherever, you know. For us, we know Jacko, we know Bala, we know, them the different ones, one whose name was Calypso, It was a lady, her name was Calypso, so we have a deep history of the maroon lives, so we know the whole maroon vibes is deep within us, as Dominicans, so we have that kind of a deep rich history. That's why that rhythm, anyway it's played, so much other islands can identify with it because really and truly it's them. You know, we play it, but it's them. It's part of them. You know, so we can't claim it solely for ourselves because it's part of them. It's in their DNA. You know,
Yes.
so we sharing. You know, we combining. You know, we unifying. We bringing everything together, not just in words, but in deed.
Thank you, Ra. We only have about 20 minutes left. That's the thing about these shows. The time goes so quickly and you're so enjoying the show. It goes by so quickly. So I have several questions to ask still, but I will try to combine them because the time is very limited at this time. But before we move ahead, you brought back memories. I was smiling earlier because at around 5 or 6 years old, my father came back from Dominica. He went to visit. He came home and he brought me two nice shirts, Reunion '88. I still have
Yeah,
those pictures of the child in posing in the
right.
shirt, the t-shirt, Reunion
Okay.
'88, make it a date, Reunion '88. And the
Right.
lady had
Yes.
the thing on her head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah. The
so
tech
88 was
cassette,
a
you call
special
that. You
date.
call that the tech
80,
cassette. Yeah.
yeah, 88
Yeah.
was a special time in Dominica, I guess, because it was a child back then, you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
And also for the public, everybody, listeners, bouillon is very delicious. The soup is very good, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Some people call it a brothco, some call it a
Yes.
soup because it's almost the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The soup, some people would more or less like put well, me, I come from the Rasta vibe, and so meat is not really, I'm not big on meat. But now you could make the what I do fish, so the broth, you have the fish and stuff like that. Some people put all the different kind of a stuff with it there. So it's why like it's just like the music, you just tailor it to your taste,
Yes.
and the soup is almost the same thing,
Yes.
so they but the what makes it, and we call it the bouillon, is the sauce, is the gravy. You check, is the
Yes.
is the the bouillon is what you drink, because now everything, for instance, you'd have green bananas in there, you would have um what they call kalalu, all these they're mixed up in it. So now is in the gravy, is in the sauce where the real thing is, and that's what the bouillon is, is
Okay.
in the sauce. That's what bouillon is the sauce. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Rob, we have just a few more minutes, so there's some main questions I want you to state. Some golden nuggets. What advice would you give to any young females or males who aspire to be like you? What would you have to tell them if they want to follow in your footsteps as a musician?
Well, I tell them, first of all, they have to follow their dream. They have to understand their vision, and they have to understand, they have to comprehend their vision, and they have to also comprehend their mission, because music is a way of documenting, passing on certain things, otherwise it will get lost. Is a way of preserving your culture, your history, so you have to keep that in mind. Music, it could be done for different reasons, but no, for me personally, I do music for preservation of of your history, of your, where you come from, where you are, and where you're going to. So you have to know exactly, what's your mission, what you intend to do. Of course, you must have a fear of the Most High, and you
Yes.
must definitely respect the elders, the ancestors, those that brought it for you, because now some people have the tendency of disrespecting the elders. You have to respect the elders, because we grew up in a time where to sit among the elders was a privilege. Right
Yes.
now people tell the elders, "Oh, get out of there, you're old," and stuff like that.
Disrespectful. Yes, very
Yes, yes. But
disrespectful.
that now, because now when you do that now, you're losing a big part of your history, because
Yes,
certain
thank you.
things you're supposed to learn from them, you're going to be losing that, and somebody else will have it to teach it to you, or maybe your children, whereas you had the opportunity for you to grab that history for you to be able to pass on, because now that is what we did. That's the whole idea of generational wealth. Is not just material thing, passing a house or passing some gold or whatever,
It's
but
knowledge.
passing your history,
No.
passing knowledge of certain things, certain way you cook, certain way you dress, certain way that you talk, you check. is your accomplice, like the way you worship,
Yes.
and your medicine, So it have a lot, that we should really, check for, and that would be my advice to the younger generation. Don't disconnect with the elders. Make sure you connect with the elders. Of course, time changes, and no, just like how you see the changes in time, and the elders maybe have to, try their best to adjust to, to what's new. Same way, you have to preserve, what's in the past. As Marcus Garvey said, people without a knowledge of his history, it's like a tree without roots. As they say, without roots, no fruits.
Yes.
No,
Thank you.
because the tree grows both ways, downwards and upwards.
Thank you. I have another question, but before we move on to that, there's a popular African proverb that says, "When an old man dies,
Yeah.
a library burns down." So
Yes,
you're
right.
correct.
Yeah.
In regards to services, is there any information you would like to share with the public? I mean, if they may want to use your services, like composing, music, engineering, do you have a website or something that they can reach out to you?
Oh well, we of course we could reach us on Booyah Kitchen Studios. It's 176 1767 235 5207.
Yes,
Right?
thank you.
767 235 5207.
Yes,
Of course, you
thank
can
you.
reach us in the Booyah Kitchen Studios. Of course, we need services like we produce. Of course, Ajmal is the main engineer. So Ajmal is my son, and he does, production.
He's
Um,
continuing the legacy. He's very
he's a
good.
he's a, yeah, a
He's
producer.
exceptionally good. Yeah.
He composed the music, and so if you have the music composed already, you just need extra production. We could do that. So we located in Dominica, so you could always look us up. You could look up Derek Rapiters. You could look for Ajmal Skyo Beats.
Yes.
And that will lead you to the studio. And of course, Ajmal has his own band.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, he's the one, when I perform now, he's the one backing me up, because for now, I don't really perform with, the other bands that I used to work with, like Rory Dame or WCK or this. Yeah. So I work with Ajmal, and his band name is Inner Core Unit, Yeah, so a
Okay.
6-piece band, yeah.
Yeah. So two more questions in relation to what do you think what enhancement can be done? Do you think that you can do with some more sponsorship? Maybe the government can be more involved and assist the bouillon culture, the bouillon music. What do you think? The Ministry
Well,
of Culture, Ministry of Tourism.
I think it's just like, it's not a science, rocket science. It's not science, rocket science. Definitely in culture, there's a Ministry of Culture. So nobody has to tell the Ministry of Culture how to do their work. They're supposed to know how to do their work. There's Ministry of Tourism. They know what it entails. They know they need to do their work. I mean, there's finance. Uh,
No, I'm just laughing because I know
agriculture.
for many years the way you speak, you're very transparent.
Yeah, agriculture, because agriculture, culture, it falls on the same line. So they shouldn't break their head, because they have a thing like the World Creole Music Festival. And you know exactly what is really drawing the crowds. It's true that you have other artists and so, but it's a World Creole Music Festival.
Okay.
So you know what everybody is drawn to. You see the power of Booyah music. You see what Booyah music, everybody is running towards Booyah music right now. The whole Caribbean.
With the Caribbean Music Awards, yes, even the Caribbean Music Awards, everything was mainly bouillon.
Basically, if you have to check really what's happening in the Caribbean now, and in the world, the beats that really striking right now, some people may want to agree or disagree, is Afro beats and Booyah music. That's why I hear. I could be wrong, but that's why I hear, because even if you listen to the American music now, a lot of them producers know it's songs, what they do is songs like Afro beats.
Yes,
Now,
it sounds like
Afrobeats is very close to what we do because they
yes,
use almost the same elements that what we do.
yes,
I mean, that's why we can't say and compare who was there before because it come from the motherland. So we can't be there trying to compete with one another. We can only work together.
yeah.
So now back to the government, they know exactly what they're supposed to do. They see big. I mean, even the prime minister was singing a Boyo song. They're trying to get.
Yes, I
For
saw
me, I
that.
don't know if he was using it now to get props.
It's so
But
scary.
I mean, hey,
Bouillon.
if you could see how powerful Booyah music is, and everybody have
Yeah.
a reference to Booyah music, I mean, you
Mhm.
could see what's going on. And like people like me, I invested a lot in me personally. I invested personally in Booyah music, making sure that a lot of artists, different. I brought in a lot of different artists, promoters. I brought in some producers as well. To make sure that it become a genre, because you couldn't make it a genre and on you alone playing it. It's impossible.
Yes.
And you see
Yes.
right now what's happening. The whole Caribbean is into Bouillon. There's
Yes.
no stopping it.
Yes. Even Barbados, which is shocking. I'm a big fan of Lil Rick. I grew up from a child hearing Lil Rick. He had a distinct beat with but that was his main beat you would hear. But he had a couple songs with Bouillon in it, and it was so different and it was good. It was they were great hits with a little
Yeah, but
bit
I
of
must I
Bouillon.
must pick up my partner Ali. He lives in New York. He's the one
Mhm.
that produces for Liquor Rick, and I think he produces for quite a other few. Um,
Okay.
um,
But
yeah. So
is
he
he
was
from
he
a
was in Barbados.
Caribbean?
I mean, he played for Edwin Yewood. And also, I think he
Edit.
plays with the guy from Grenada, Killer, Mr. Killer. So he's one I work with a lot, and I mean
Yes.
before he went to the
He did a
States.
good job.
Yeah, we work together, and I mean, of course, he used to be visiting the studio right here. So there's quite a few of them, quite a few producers, quite a few
Okay.
musicians that pass through, because
Yeah.
now I teach them all that I knew,
Okay.
all that I could
I'm
at the
not
time.
certain of it.
Yeah,
I'm not certain about
yeah,
the name Ali, but I think I have seen with the video with Lil Ray, it had Pyramid Records or Pyramid production. So I thought that
yeah,
was the company.
yeah. So no, Ali worked with quite a few of them. Ali worked because
Okay.
no Ali used to be in Barbados for some time. So unlike my other guy that went in there, he tried to produce for people like the guy, what's his name? The one I was singing Ice Cream in Collision there, what's his name? Oh, his name wanna come. But yeah. And there's two of them,
Okay.
Uh can't remember the guy in Collision. Rupee.
Or Rupee, Belgian
Yeah,
guy.
because he went
Yeah.
producing for Rupee, he was in Rupee
Beautiful
Guyana.
vocalist. Beautiful vocalist.
Yes, yes, yes. So he did a stuff, and yeah. But when Ali
Okay.
went in, Ali did it. Ali did some stuff
Okay.
there. So I mean, so it's in there, and I mean, we working worldwide. Right
Yes.
now, your music is going worldwide. I mean, it's
It is
growing,
world.
it's growing,
It is worldwide.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
was mentioning that too, Rob, because I've heard people said it hasn't reached international. Of course, it's international because it's evident you can hear it. Music is worldwide. It's why the world is spread all over. So it's not
Yeah,
possible to
most
restrict
definitely,
it.
because that's why
Yeah.
they had the argument now if Booyah is soca or soca is Booyah or whatever. But now, I mean, soca is soca, and I mean, if you know the history about soca and when it developed and stuff like that, that's another subject and topic area for another time. But Bouillon is a different style. It has elements of soca or calypso in it, but it's not soca. It just have
Yes.
different elements of different things in it because it's a potpourri. It's a fusion. It's bouillarized. That's what it is. But
Yes.
it's definitely not soca. That's why in the Caribbean Awards they made a special area and genre,
Hmm.
to really highlight bouillon music. Yeah,
Yes.
right.
And educate artists about the vitality of copywriting and taking a stance for this genre of music. We only have a few minutes left, so proceed,
Yeah, well,
please.
copyrights is coming very. I mean, it's always a very serious subject area, and it's always been serious to me because I raised up understanding what is copyrights. Because when I was in People's Action Theater, I was about
Mhm.
like maybe about 11 years old, And Alwyn Bully at the end, we did a play from a guy from St. Vincent called Ruler in Haruna. And he was talking about royalties and stuff like that. So I was wondering what was royalties and copyrights and all that. So then I had a understanding of it, So that is one that we have to check carefully. You have to know what's your rights, when you're author, when you're composer, when you're performer, you check because you have performing rights. Some people they didn't compose, but they perform on the album. That's okay.
Publishing
That means
rights.
they compose the music. You check, they didn't perform it, but they compose the music. And have those they write the music, even though they didn't perform it. But have those they write and perform and compose, but maybe they didn't perform. I mean, like instruments, So they perform like in vocals. So now you have to know exactly what's your rights. You check, and of course you have your publishing rights, and this is a whole long subject area. But you have to make sure that you copyright your stuff because you never know what could happen, and you need to defend yourself. Yeah, you need to defend yourself. Know what is your right, and how you do your splits and stuff like that. Because if you have three people writing a song, you split the song in three. Different people have different methods of saying, okay, 50% for composing, 50% for writing, and these are the main areas there. Some people may want to do it different and want to do their splits different, So it's left to you. You have to understand what's your contract and what you're going into.
Yes. While you were at the Dominica State House for some independence, do you wish to tell me at least a
Oh,
few seconds? Did you receive an accolade or was it something to do with a group some years ago?
Some years ago, I think it was 2008. We got a meritorious award for the creation of Boya music. That's together with the group, So I was there to receive that award, and I think it's a meritorious award they call it. So it was given in the independence of 2008.
Congratulations, meritorious service award.
Yes, right. So so I mean, I think it's high time that people get there. It was for the group, but no, it's high time that the individuals that really brought in whatever. I think it's high time that they get recognized for doing whatever, because I mean the genre is bigger than bigger than how much of us
Thank you. It is big. That's why I was saying that.
It's bigger than even Dominica, It's look, it's going crazy.
Some people say
for
it's not.
Jab make a genre out of conch shell. Jab is out of conch shell. I mean, conch shell. That song was a road march in Grenada for how many years, gone by, and after now he came with the jab vibes, that's okay, because it's one Caribbean and it's a conch shell, so we do what we have to do, and we let the music run, because now we are one family, that's right.
Yes, that's why I can't understand how people can say it hasn't gone international. I think that they're explaining it, and they're meaning to say that they probably don't think it's as popular, but it is worldwide. You can't block it, No.
Well, the way it is, Boya music is reaching out. I mean, most anybody of African origin can identify with it. They can identify the rhythm. They can definitely identify with it, because it has everything in it. Because rhythm in itself, beats and stuff like that, and percussions, especially drums and percussions. I mean, it's known for Africa. Africa is the way it's known for that. As they say, the first instrument is the voice, right?
Yes.
And the second instrument is the drums, percussions, So that's what it is, So, that's why it is.
Right. In regards to international, on that topic, you have traveled international. I call it world tours. What were your experience? How did it feel? It had to be a great feeling to be in a different environment in front of thousands of people performing. What you have to say about that?
Oh yeah, well, for instance, we had a couple of great performances. I think one of those was when we performed Madison Square Garden in New York, and of course, I think one when we performed on a Apollo Theater in New York. I think Harlem,
yes,
something like that. I think we did the Harlem one in '91, and uh, Madison Square Garden. I cannot remember exactly what, but we perform with people like Marshall and a couple of days. Of course, we perform in places like when they had one in Brooklyn. How do you call that there? They had that one in um, Prospect Park or something like that. That was a
Yes.
big one. That was a big one. I think Air Jamaica sponsored that one. We did some couple big ones in Miami, of course, London, yeah,
Well,
Canada. We did a
how
few.
about in the 2000s and other time at the different times you traveled, you've been, playing and performing still.
Yeah, well, we did quite a few, but a few of them really stand out, especially when
Okay.
we did those in New York area. This
Yeah.
where Prove the Band was huge. I Prove
Yeah.
the Band was huge when I see a night that we performed and the crowd that we had, and
Okay.
the about 3 nights or 4 nights down the line, I went to see Aswad, Aswad big reggae band, and when I see the crowd that we were able to pull compared to what Aswad was able to pull, I realized, how big the band was. I think
Okay.
I saw them somewhere in Manhattan. That's Aswad,
Okay.
so we could see that, of course, we did shows together with people like Wyclef and some of the big guys in Victoria Park in London. That was a big festival that we did.
So, thank
Yeah.
you so much for being here. I don't know if Mr. Reginald Kearney has anything to say, but I really appreciated it, and I'm certain that all listeners enjoyed it. We learned a lot from you. I love the traditional plaid,
Oh yeah, yeah. I had to do that because we.
Dominica plaid.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They have
We
it here.
into yeah
Yeah.
we into the independent season right now. We just
Yeah.
going to open out the independent season, so you see a lot of Madras and Tetkasi and Wap
Yeah.
Duet and stuff like that. So I just figured it was just fit into give
Perfect.
a little demo
Mhm.
of the Creole
Yeah.
way, what we do, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You always have to represent for the nature island, the Caribbean.
oh yes, most definitely. Yeah.
Yes.
I see
Yeah.
you have Mr. Reginald what Cooney
Yes,
here.
Kearney. Yes, Derek. Hey, glad you could spend some time with us tonight. I learned a lot myself tonight, okay? And I appreciate you being on the show tonight. And I know my viewers appreciate it too, So we'll have to do this again some other time. 'Cause I know Keisha has a lot of questions and she did a great job with you tonight. But like I said, I learned a lot about the music and everything. And I like music from the Caribbean area. I love reggae and I just love the beat, the sounds. I just love it. Okay, so appreciate you being here tonight. Uh, Before we leave tonight, I just want to remind everyone, like I said earlier, before we open the show up, please get registered to vote. We got a big election coming up here soon, and we got to be out there voting. Get your cousins, your brothers, everybody, your relatives, get them out to the election board, get them registered, and get them out to vote. Okay, so. Everyone, again, I want to thank Mr. Derek and Ron Peters for being with us tonight. I want to thank my co-host Keisha Reefer for sitting in tonight, and she did a great job, didn't she? Everyone, let's give her a big hand clap. Again, and let's thank Derek for being with us tonight. And guys, go out and get his music. Hey, Derek, before we leave, tell people how they can get in contact with you, Facebook and all that kind of stuff.
Well, you could get me on Facebook. I'm Derek Peters. You look me up. Right there, well, all these, everything link up. The Instagram and everything is linked up. So, you could check me out on there. Then you could get the link to the studio and all the rest of it. Link to the music and all that. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So everybody,
Mr. Kearney, before you leave, I just received a message that came through. We should at least mention this. Congratulations to the Commonwealth of Dominica on the first ever Olympic medal. So that is a great
Oh yeah,
blessing.
because though I mean, this year was like make me remember remind me of a song, man. Something good is gonna happen to me this year, and I think something good is happening right now. Having Mr. Reginald and Yukisha. I mean, that's the first time we're doing that. I think it's great, and of course, we can't forget Tia, you know, for what she did. I think she really put us up there with what she did and stuff like that. And of course, you know, all, you know, the Dominican public, people, artists, whatever you do, that putting us out there. And of course, you know, we can't forget our brothers, other brothers and sisters, like the sister from St. Lucia, the brother from Grenada, and other, you know, all other people that participated and made that, you know, the island proud, you know, and make us proud as a race and as a people, you know.
Yes.
So, you know, we want to big up, you know,
And
each and
Derek,
everybody that's making
and
it.
Derek, before you go, this is really touching and emotional, but that, yeah, it's a very happy time for me. I was really overjoyed that she got the Olympic medal, because many people don't know that, but years ago, Dominica wanted me to run for them. Low Black asked my mother, you know, Coach Low Black, he had asked
You're
if I
right,
could
yes, correct, yeah.
yeah, because it was the outstanding athlete in Barbados for 2 years straight, had records, national records. But
Right,
Dominica
right.
didn't have the resources to maintain me. I would have run for Dominica. I wanted to run for them. So
Yeah,
I'm glad
but
that she was able to do what I was aiming to do. It was close to the Olympic times too, but I'm glad that someone finally did it.
yeah, well, I'm proud of you for your achievements too, Kisha. I mean, hey, I know, you know, the thing, maybe you want to be interviewing me, but at the same time, I think you know,
That was just
you've
touchy for
done,
me.
you know, you've done really good for yourself. I mean, um you know, doing thing for representing Barbados, and even though you represent Barbados, you represent us as
I
well, you
always
know.
have the Dominica
Yes.
flag. When I ran track in college and high school, I always carried the Dominica. Everything was Dominica. I always promoted
Right,
Dominica. You
right.
know, so
So, you
I'm
know,
sorry I never get
and
a run for y'all, but I did whatever I could to promote and push the country still. You
well,
know.
we're still proud of you. We're always proud of you, and I mean, for all the things that you do, great or small, that we really, you know, proud of you, and we really appreciate, even having me on that program. I figure, you know, I think that's a great move, you know, by your part, you know,
Yes,
thinking of
thank you.
that, you know,
Well,
yeah.
thank you so much. I always appreciate you. You're very articulate, very intelligent. I love your conversations. Always enlightening.
Well, big respect, you know, because when you have, you know, people of that level, you know, it always brings out that part of you,
Yes.
and you know, I'm very pleased and, you know,
Yes.
happy. I don't know if elated, you know, is a word, you know,
Yes.
to be in such great company tonight,
All right.
you know, having that conversation, because I don't look at it just like an interview. I have it as a conversation, you know. We just talk and,
Okay.
you know,
Well, thank
just
you so much,
free up,
and
you know, that way there.
congratulations to you and to Ajmal. And may Ajmal continue to push and keep going. I'm really proud of Ajmal as well. He has grown to be an amazing young man.
Well, thanks very much. I'll pass on your greetings to you and everything, you know. And also he's at a gig, you know, with his
Yeah.
group, you know. So when I'm through here, I'm going to check him out, give him some support, you know. Yeah.
Okay, again, I want to thank everybody for being here on the Urban Sentinel Live show tonight. Thank you. Thanks for the guests. Thanks for the co-hosts and everything. People, go out and have a great week. Be safe. Enjoy yourself. And hey, you know, just do your thing, but do it safely. Good night, everyone. See you next Tuesday night. Take care. Good night.
Bye.
All right, good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, yeah.
Good night.